Superintendent Pierre Couture. Welcome again.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm going to speak against the bill today. So I just want to first, Representative Ladd, and it's been mentioned a couple times that the village district is responsible for all of the maintenance of that building. That's not true. It's shared. The village district takes care of the larger items, like recently they put a new roof on the building, things like that. But we hire the custodial staff and we maintain it that way. We clean the building. It's a shared cost. It's not fully funded by the village district. So first, to speak to what is obvious to me about one of the troubling spots of this House bill is, to me, it looks like it's going to set a precedent and it's going to circumvent RSA 195, which we already have in place to allow towns to explore the possibility of withdrawal from cooperative districts. This was already done once in 2014 with Bridgewater and Hebron, and they followed the RSA 195, and it was determined at the end of the study to remain in the district. Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton have been part of the Newfound area school district for over 60 years. Collectively, they have about 15% of the students that attend our schools. People should remember that the cooperative district was formed to create efficiencies that all 7 towns and their students would benefit from, and to provide greater educational opportunities for their students. So this is clearly the point of cooperative districts across the whole state. Students from the small towns have much more to gain than students from the large towns, because they're able to attend schools in a larger setting, a larger high school, because they belong to the cooperative district that they would otherwise not benefit from. And with those larger schools comes greater programming. The students benefited tremendously by being part of Newfound. They've attended larger schools. They've been able to access academic programs, athletics, and co-curricular programs that they would not have been able to access if they weren't part of the cooperative district. These programs and efficiencies have been guaranteed if these 3 towns leave the Newfound school district. Those students may lose that guarantee to have that access. When you're locked into a cooperative district, you have those guarantees. There's a risk here as the Newfound area school district is planning their future. We now have an architectural study and a building committee that are looking at 3 of our elementary schools that are aging and need either to be replaced or to be renovated. So as this would leave, if this bill was passed, it would leave that committee in a really difficult position. How do we plan going forward, not knowing if there's a 4-year process as described today for this group to study that? Personally, I'm frustrated that the House bill was written in isolation. It just appeared to us. It was never discussed or presented at a school board meeting. I attended several meetings throughout the summer on the funding formula with Mr. Murphy and Mr. Piper, who's here today, and neither of them mentioned it to me. And that is troubling that we could have been part of the process. Some of the things that have been shared as supporting documents for this House bill include negative comments about our middle school. Our middle school is doing great. I mean, that was a narrative that was in place in 2014. That's really old news. Our middle school has new leadership, and they're performing at or above the state average. The district has also made huge investments into that building, putting in a new state-of-the-art HVAC system and LED lighting recently. And we have a facilities committee that's continually looking at improving that facility. There was, in the supporting documents, it speaks about the fear of losing or change of funding formula within the district. That issue was resolved last year. with a petition warrant article, which was modified to form a study committee. And we spent the summer, and some of these people behind me were on that committee, and it was found that we weren't going to change the funding formula. So I don't see that as a fear. Currently, there was a question about the enrollment. Currently at Bridgewater Hebron, we have on our books as 121 students. 44 of those students live in either Alexandria or Bristol. So if this House bill was to pass and Newfound Area School District could pull those students back into our own buildings, that would be a 35% decrease in enrollment and put you at about 77 students. Also, as part of our planning for our district moving forward, we've had an enrollment study by the New England Council of School Development, and they're predicting a 12% decrease in enrollment in the next 10 years. So based on those declining numbers, it's really hard to imagine that adding more grades to one of our smaller schools really makes sense. Let me see. That's all I have to say. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. Are there any questions from the committee? Representative Tanner?
Thank you. Thank you for taking my question. So there's 4 elementary schools in the district, including the village school. If they all follow a lot of the same guidelines as far as curriculum and
We are all, yes, the 4 elementary schools use all the same curriculum and assessment tools. I mean, essentially, when it comes to instruction, they're essentially like one school.
and as a follow-up,
Yes.
and you hire all the employees for all 4 elementary schools at this point?
That's correct. Everybody that works in that building, from custodial staff all the way up through the teachers and administrator, are Newfound employees.
Thank you.
Representative Cordelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Superintendent, for being here. You talked about the projected enrollment decline. Do you have any idea what the high school capacity is right now in terms of space utilization?
At the high school,
Yeah.
it was built for about 500 students, and currently we have about 380.
Okay, thank you. Follow up?
Yes.
You talked about the 4-year window also. And I understand from previous testimony that if this 4-year planning period results in a new school district, they would be looking to tuition students back to Newfound or to Plymouth or some other place. Would Newfound be open with, especially with the declining enrollment and excess capacity, be looking to accept students from the new district as tuition students?
Well, that would be a school board decision, not my decision. I mean, I can tell you that there's a lot of frustration with the other towns about this House bill, and the feeling like, we're not good enough for them now, why would we accept them back, type of thing. But that would be really up to the school board to decide. And in the matter of if it came down to 3 or 4 years, how would it could be an entirely different school board at that point. But so it's really hard to tell, but it really puts us, the building committee, in a difficult position as we move forward and make plans, trying to decide whether Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton are with Newfound or not.
Thank you.
Further questions from the committee? Representative Woodcock?
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Superintendent. Welcome. I have two questions that are distinctly different. Just at the onset of your discussion, you indicated, I think you said it was determined to stay, the conclusion one, it was determined to stay as part of the district. The study that was done, it was determined to stay as part of the district.
Right, that was in 2014.
Okay, my question is by whom?
They formed the committee, which is required by the RSA. And I think some of the people sitting behind me were part of that committee. I saw the documents in my office.
That's one. And may I do the second part?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Is the pay scale for the teachers in the 4 elementary school districts all the same?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Further questions? Representative Myler?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here. I'll ask you the administrative question. How do you see, from your perspective, the administration of this particular proposal vis-a-vis what is currently there?
Well, they would, so if they succeeded and formed their own district, they would need a principal, which they already, you know, we already have, that we pay. We pay for $2.6 million every year for the budget for that school, Newfound does, for staffing it and maintaining it. So they would need a principal, and certainly one principal would be capable of a K-8. But as you know, the school would be required to have to acquire superintendent services. So they would either have to hire a full-time superintendent or find some other way to fulfill those services.
Follow up.
Yes.
Then other services that are currently provided by the SAU, would they continue to do that to this new entity?
Well, that would be up to the school board to decide that. That's not a guarantee.
Thank you.
Further questions from Representative Cornell?
Thank you. Thank you. Who makes up the school board? How is that divided up?
The school board has one representative from each of the 7 towns.
Further questions? Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.